As I say to myself every morning when I wake up in Washington, D.C.,
here we go again.
Melania, I know how you feel, but we are going to have to get back to you and your new documentary in a few minutes. Because even by tortured local standards, this was a jaw-dropping, horrifying American week in which the First Lady's husband disgraced himself, his office, and his nation. It all began last Sunday with the realization that something dreadful had taken place in Los Angeles the night before.
A source close to Rob Reiner is telling NBC News tonight that he can confirm that the film director and actor Rob Reiner and his wife have been found dead in their home in Brentwood, California, from some apparent stab wounds.
Tonight, sources telling ABC News their daughter was the one who found them. Officers then swarming the neighborhood. Their son, 32-year-old Nick Reiner, was taken into custody overnight.
Firefighters were initially called to that home around 3:30 this afternoon from a call of an apparent homicide. Rob Reiner is just an iconic figure here in Hollywood.
And not only in Hollywood, but all over the country. His career beginning with early TV appearances in the 1970s on All in the Family, the groundbreaking American comedy that was directly inspired by the BBC's Till Death Us Do Part. He went on to direct an array of Hollywood epics, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, This Is Spinal Tap, and A Few Good Men, a legal drama in which he cast Kevin Bacon, just one of scores of leading figures in the entertainment industry grief-stricken by the news.
The making of that movie was one of the best experiences that I've ever had on a set. He was so fun. It was a magical time. So I'm just sending love to everybody that knew him, because I know that everyone's hurting today.
Rob Reiner and his wife were especially popular among Democrats because they were Democrats. He had spent decades campaigning for a variety of progressive causes, same-sex marriage, early childhood development programs. Together, over their 36 years of marriage, they fundraised for successive Democratic presidential candidates, including Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris. From an early stage, Rob Reiner determined that Donald Trump posed an existential threat to American democracy. It was an unshakable view that he expressed earlier this year on PBS.
He's a huckster, and he's a great huckster. He's like the best snake oil salesman ever. It's poisonous for this country because there's no guarantee that democracy survives forever. There's no guarantee. It's just, we're just people and laws. So if you destroy the structure and you destroy the laws, you can wind up with an autocracy, and that's where we're headed.
Now, back in the pre-Trump era, when notable Americans died, successive presidents of the United States, in their capacity as head of state, as opposed to the country's political leader, would habitually pay tribute to them. All of that ended when Trump rode into town in 2017, and to the shame of Joe Biden, it never really came back between Trump's two administrations. But the president's behavior on Sunday, even as the Reiners' bodies were still in their Los Angeles home, was something else. Here's how local TV station KTLA reported it.
President Trump is responding to Rob Reiner's death with what appears to be a political attack against the late director. Posting on Truth Social, Trump suggests Reiner's death was due to, quote, the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome.
The Post went on to claim that Reiner had driven people crazy by his raging obsession with Trump. It accused the murdered director of obvious paranoia. And on Monday, given a chance by reporters to walk it all back, in the face of growing fury even among many of his own supporters who were urging him to delete the message, of course, the president doubled down.
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all, in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country.
That statement was absolutely completely below the office of the President of the United States, classless, and it was just wrong.
Yes, we have reached the stage where Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, the conspiracy theorist from Georgia, she's now the one demanding honourable behaviour in the nation's highest office.
It's a tragic murder. It's a family ripped apart. And from my understanding, what I've seen on the news, it was drug abuse and mental illness. And many families across America deal with family members that are drug addicts or have mental health issues. And I think the president should have responded with compassion.
You see, it's really not that difficult to find the right words. Little wonder that Trump now considers her a traitor as she positions herself as the authentic future leader of what he views as his Make America Great Again movement. The notion that the president is losing his grip was fueled this week by some of his other behaviour. He gave a very shouty, all-over-the-shop primetime TV address in which he aimed to assure the American people that they are wrong when they correctly conclude prices are rising in the United States, not falling.
We're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our Treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast.
But even his own government's websites concede prices are in fact rising faster than the rate of inflation. And there's no sign that speech eased the concerns of voters, only 30% of whom approve of his handling of the economy. By the way, there is no evidence to support the contention, one of at least 50 falsehoods contained in the 18-minute speech, that Joe Biden and the Democrats looted the Treasury of millions of dollars. In other eye-opening claims this week, he made fresh threats against Venezuela, suddenly claiming they had stolen American oil.
You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back, but they took it. They illegally took it.
Actually, what the Venezuelan government did in 1976 during Gerald Ford's presidency was nationalise the country's oil industry, which of course is not quite the same as theft and larceny. But he's now imposing a naval blockade on sanctioned Venezuelan tankers and not even concealing the fact that his military stranglehold on the country is basically a war for oil. At the White House, he installed new plaques beneath photographs of his predecessors that line the West Wing colonnade, or as he's dubbed it, the Presidential Walk of Fame. Joe Biden is mocked as the worst president in American history. Barack Obama is derided as one of the most divisive figures in American history. When a mass shooting took place last weekend at Brown University in Rhode Island, how did the great unifier first react?
Brown University, great school, great, really one of the greatest schools anywhere in the world. Things can happen.
Things can happen. He did go on briefly to express sympathy for the 2 dead and 9 injured. The suspect was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound on Thursday night in New Hampshire. This was also the week, of course, when the president made good on his threat of more than a month ago to sue the BBC.
In a little while, you'll be seeing I'm suing the BBC for putting words in my mouth, literally. They put words in my mouth. They had me saying things that I never said coming out. I guess they used AI or something. So we'll be bringing that lawsuit. A lot of people are asking, when are you bringing that lawsuit? Even the media can't believe that one. They actually put terrible words in my mouth having to do with January 6th that I didn't say.
Now, none of that is true, and when the lawsuit was filed, it notably did not accuse the BBC of using AI or some other technological tool to put words in his mouth. As the BBC has conceded, it engaged in a clumsy edit of his rabble-rousing speech on January the 6th, just before his supporters engaged in their deadly riot on Capitol Hill, and it failed to alert the Panorama audience to the fact that it had simply jammed 2 separate parts of the speech together. The president is claiming $10 billion in damages. Let's see if the courts even allow his complaint against Auntie to go ahead. The rioters that day, of course, were falsely claiming that Democrats had rigged Joe Biden's election victory. But this week, it was Trump who was actually rigging a ballot.
She just posted on X, your press secretary, that the board members of the Kennedy Center voted unanimously to rename it the Trump Kennedy Center. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I was honored by it. The board is a very distinguished board, most distinguished people in the country.
Except that's not exactly true. The president has packed the board with sycophantic supporters. And as for that White House claim that there was a unanimous vote to add Trump's name in front of JFK's at what has always been known as the Kennedy Center,
this is just another attempt to evade the law.
Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, a Democrat from Ohio, is an ex officio board member of the congressionally created Kennedy Center, and she says the pro-Trump majority blocked dissenters from even casting their votes on the name change.
Each time I tried to speak, I was muted. Participants were not allowed to voice their concerns who were online. Yet it was said at the end it was a unanimous vote.
But of course it was, because this is now, as Rob Reiner warned, an autocracy. And like all authoritarians, the Trumps are now getting ready to bask in yet more hagiography, this time in the form of Melania Trump's self-produced $40 million Amazon documentary all about her.
Everyone wants to know. So here it is.
All right, I'll admit it, you've got me. I'm all ears.
Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. Yeah, I will see it on the news.
What a cliffhanger. Now, how do I get a gig where I can just watch him on the news?